Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the Pop Cultured Podcast, where we talk pop culture, mostly gaming pop culture, but sometimes other things.
Who
Like,
knows?
yeah, we'll see how the topics go for today. Anyway, I am joined by my usual co-host, Mr. Joe Elbone, the
What's
Rune
up?
Child.
That's me.
The
Real big
Rune
fan.
Child.
Real big fan of Taldora campaign setting by Matt Mercer. As
Critical
you
Role.
know, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Totally coincidental, actually.
You just happen to be wearing your delightful
How
Critical
do you
Role
want
shirt today.
to? How do you want to do this shirt? I just happen to, like, for real. No, that's not. I'm not playing.
See, my shirt, I was just like, we're doing the podcast today, so I'm going to wear one of my Mario shirts. He get it?
Nice.
It's Mario World, where you had to ride
Yeah.
Yoshi.
Then, like 2 seconds later, you leave him in an abyss.
Yep, you just jump
Yeah.
off and he falls off into the abyss and you get to the flag.
And then if you need to eat something, you punch him in the back of the head.
Yep, it's terrible. It's just the worst.
Why does Yoshi continue to hang out with Mario?
I have
Why
no
do they
idea.
still golf together? I don't understand.
Anyway, we are once again missing our other dear co-host Noah, who is doing theater things right now,
Yeah.
and we don't have a guest this week because I'm a terrible person, and also I work today, so surprisingly I'm awake. I wasn't sure if that was gonna happen or not.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
So we are joined
To
again
be
by
fair,
Catboy Sora.
to be fair, you didn't work last night, so
That's true.
you were able to actually get sleep.
That's true. But
It's
two
more
weeks ago,
impressive.
I was still asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I've thought of something we can talk about that we didn't really talk about last week.
Hmm.
That's not on our list anywhere. The Wreck-It Ralph trailer. Did you see it yet? Ralph Breaks the Internet?
I saw the horrifying image of him
The
force feeding
bunny
pancakes
gets the
to a bunny.
pancake. Oh, how did that make it into a Disney film?
I'm just trying
Like,
to
how-
understand, like, did okay, because it doesn't show it. Does the
No.
bunny like grossly explode, or does it like cutely pop out of existence?
Here's the thing. Either way, it's horrifying that there's a popping noise and then the child just screams.
Yes, that
How
is.
did that make it into a
super
Disney
horrifying.
movie? How? And how is
Um,
that in the promotional material? That is a clip they're selling this movie on.
all I'm saying is, you have a movie whose two lead characters are voiced by John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman.
That's
Like-
fair. And it's a Disney film somehow.
Yeah, and somehow it's a Disney film. But yeah.
No,
So,
the
you know,
kitty gets the milkshake. The bunny gets the pancake.
it's so terrible. That poor
It's so-
bunny.
Oh my gosh.
Like it what's sad is like the bunny is unable to refuse. Like
Yeah.
you want
That's
the bunny to just
saddest
push the
thing.
pancake away, but he just
No,
like
but it's like-
sadly eats it.
Uh,
Poor bunny.
pancake.
Well, here's the thing. She like starts or like Ralph starts dishing out the pancakes, and then Vanellope
Vanellope?
just like, look what I found, and I'm like, oh my god, this will not
Yeah.
end well.
Yeah, it's like pancake, milkshake, pancake,
and the
milkshake.
bunny just
It's
looks like
look what I found.
horrified.
The bunny's just like. Well, I also liked the cat, the kitty, as they refer to it, when the bunny's about to pop. It just goes,
Yeah, it just
it just like
sinks
ducks
down.
under the table. It's like,
Oh god, that whole thing. And yeah, you're right.
It's
That is what
so-
they're selling Wreck-It Ralph 2 on. Is a scene
That's
where a
like,
bunny
that is a
horrifyingly
scene they're
explodes.
selling. That's what they're selling this movie on.
Great,
Like,
great stuff. Great stuff.
The bunny gets the pancake.
That's but But that's what the internet loves, Joe. The internet loves
Bunnies eating pancakes
bunnies
and
eating pancake.
exploding.
I can't even tell you. Before I even saw that video clip, I saw about 50 pictures of it with people adding their own
Mm-hmm.
captions to it. It is meme
Yeah.
material. That
True. I mean, we joke like, oh, that's what they're selling. It works. It's
it does.
working. People are gonna go see that movie because of the bunny
Bunny
eats the
gets the pancake.
pancake.
Yeah, ridiculous. Anyway, getting into
So
some actual stuff for the day. Hey, Oculus Rift just went down today.
yeah, I saw that on the list, and I'm like, that can't be true.
It's true. Every Oculus just stopped working today.
That's gonna hurt him a little bit.
Yes, it did. And you know what? Most people think it is there is an expired security certificate, like something that they were supposed to renew, and they didn't. And it made all the Oculuses everywhere stop working. It was probably one of those
I mean,
like
hey,
I'm gonna be real. I don't really know how Oculus Rifts work, but I imagine they probably like update themselves like computers do at some point.
probably.
So apparently it was just one of those things where the next update should have had like a renewal of this thing and it just didn't, and it made all of them stop working. But one of the best stories that I read was there was a developer who was showing off a demo of a game at an event, and they were like in the middle of it, and the Oculus just stopped. And so he spent an hour trying to get the Oculus to work again. And he figured, like, he's the one who noticed, like, there's a missing security certificate in here.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh. And then what happened right after that was, okay, can we bring out the Vive so I can continue this?
Like, all I'm saying is, like, the Oculus Rift,
Oh my gosh.
they are losing hard in the VR battle to the Vive. Like,
And like they just had that little win of like, oh, we've got the new control, the most like accurate controller. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, yeah, I'm with you now, Oculus, I'm with you. And all of them stopped working. Vive's like,
yeah.
point HTC.
Yeah, I picture like the CEO of HTC just like leaning back in his chair with his fingers steepled, just like,
Good.
are you looking for this security certificate?
And it's just like a physical paper that's just a security certificate on it with like a stamp of approval. It's like, are you looking for this?
Oh my
He
Jesus.
just breaks out in maniacal laughter. Then we pan outside and it's raining and lightning strikes.
Oh my God! Wait, hold on. Do you know what I picture? Here's what I picture for this. Did you ever watch Looney Tunes back in action?
Yes.
And the part where they like zoom in on Acme headquarters, it's just Steve Martin as the evil chairman. And he's just like Acme, 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 Acme. It's just like, that's what it is. Just a giant HTC Vive sign rotating around the top of the building. He's just
Yeah.
wearing giant nerd glasses and. Oh my Jesus. Hey.
Yeah. That's that's a big deal.
Oh wait, hold on, because I'm thinking about this now. And do you remember it like zooms out and then like the laptop and the one guy's just like, wait a minute, and then they zoom back in. He's just like, what about the duck?
Yeah.
And he's just like, extra crispy.
That was not a good movie, by the way.
If they wanted to share their opinions, they had to buzz in. Oh no, Looney Tunes Back in Action was not a good movie, but
No.
it's like a great movie. Like it's
Yeah.
not good, but it's great.
It's great. It's like the spiritual successor to Space Jam that wasn't Space Jam.
Yes, it's like on
Space Jam was so
par
much better.
with like Masters of Disguise or like
Yeah, it's that level of like it's not
what's
good, but
uh
it's great.
Mystery Men. It's like on par with those movies.
I don't
Oh, did
remember
you ever
Mystery
see
Men.
Mystery Men?
I never saw Mystery Men.
Oh my god, it's this
I
movie
remember
about
Master of
like
Disguise.
it's like this movie about like all these like not even C-list, like D-list superheroes.
Oh yeah.
and
I know Mystery Man.
oh, who
That's
is
the one
it?
with
Jeffrey
All Star
Rush is
Smash Mouth,
playing Bossa Nova
right?
Frankenstein, who's like the main villain of it. It's so good. And
That was the
like
song with that was the original movie with All Star by Smash Mouth, right?
it may be?
Wasn't it?
I don't
Wasn't Ben
know.
Stiller in it?
Yes, Ben Stiller was in it. He plays a
Yeah,
guy who's like his superpower is getting super angry, but he like it doesn't
yeah.
do anything until like the very
But
end.
he just gets really angry.
And there's the
Yeah.
invisible boy who can't turn invisible if anyone's
Who
looking at him.
who can only turn invisible when no one's looking.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
the girl who's the bowler, who like her dad was a superhero and he's like his skull is trapped in a bowling ball. So she has like the mystical power to use the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I do
Beautiful
remember
movie.
I do remember the movie. I didn't watch it,
The
but I've
guy
seen the music video to Smash Mouth's All Star, and I just assume that's the same thing.
the guy who only uses spoons and forks instead of knives.
Yeah, yeah. God, I need to watch that movie now. Yeah, those are definitely on par with Looney Tunes in action, which was like, what if we got Brendan Fraser and then did an action movie with the Looney Tunes, but we just kept making reference to the fact that this is Brendan Fraser, and
Here's okay. Here's the thing that I love the most is that they got Brendan Fraser at a time like right when Brendan Fraser was starting to tail off. It's
yeah, that
like
was it was like this was like probably the start of the downslope, or
yeah, it
very
was like
soon after the start of the downslope.
he had already done George of the Jungle. He had already done
Mm-hmm.
The Mummy.
Yep,
Like he was
that's
on a
everything he did.
downward trend.
Yeah, and it's like Looney Tunes back in action. My last chance to be relevant in the film industry. My last chance to redeem myself and get back in the good graces of Hollywood. And it's, oh no, that movie was terrible.
Oh my lord. I just can't. I just
Oh my gosh.
God.
Whew. Speaking of movies,
Yes.
uh, Guillermo del Toro won the Oscar for Best Picture
That's
for Shape
true.
of Water.
And made some of the most quotable things I have ever heard. He made some of the most quotable statements I
Go
have
on. I didn't know
ever
about
heard.
this. I didn't actually follow the Oscars all that much. Oh, Shape of Water won. Cool.
There was okay. First of all, tell me your opinions about Shape of Water, if you know anything
I,
about it, while I look
I
up
didn't
these
see it.
quotes.
I didn't
Um,
actually see Shape of Water. It was a movie I wanted to get around to seeing. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. I
well,
don't know much about it.
do you know like the main like idea behind it? It's
I thought I did, but I don't think I do.
personally, I want to say it's almost kind of like a retelling of Creature from the Black Lagoon. But Guillermo
Okay.
del Toro is very much like the monster isn't really the monster you think he is.
Yeah.
And it's really
Yeah,
like the
that's
people that are the monster. Um,
mhm.
but basically, it's like this lab had tried to. They were studying this like water creature, like this amphibian humanoid thing.
Okay.
And there's a mute uh, maid basically who works at the lab, and she befriends the creature and like helps him escape the lab, and that's sort of like what the thing is without giving
Okay.
like too much away.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Kind of like what was the movie? What was I didn't think it was just what was it called? Nope, it wasn't that.
I just need.
Oh, it was kind of like Ex Machina, but creature from Black Lagoon and not an AI.
Yes.
Similar
Yes, it is
concept,
similar
anyway.
to that.
Okay.
Is this it? I can pull up like a video. Hold on. Let me see if this screen is actually prepped and ready. Okay, it's kind of prepped and ready. We kind of exist on this screen. Um, Let me see if I
Oh
can.
gosh, this is interesting. Oh, here, I just need to do one of these.
Yeah, just like tilt yourself to the
Just lean,
side.
yeah,
And
just lean over in front of Salt Bay Ignis, and I'm good.
it's been a while since I used this screen, guys, so please bear with me while I
I'm gonna use
attempt to make
microphone.
this not
Just for
terrible.
real?
It's gonna
Yep.
be
Pretty
it's
much all
gonna be
the cashback
really
new
in the
card
way
members
when we
earn at the
go
end of their
back to
first
the
year
main.
automatically. Woo, I got my money.
Oh my
Sorry to
gosh,
continue
you.
shopping. Let it go.
Yeah,
Get a dollar
I'm
for dollar
I'm
match.
very
This is on
sorry.
the fly.
From
This
Discovery.
is on the fly.
I'm very sorry. It's been ages since we used this screen. For the
There's like
record.
an ad.
The Shape of Water.
Don't worry, we won't sit on this screen for long. You just have to hear what he says.
Okay.
The Shape of Water has 13 Academy Award nominations this year, winning 4 Oscars tonight for production design, music original score, directing, and best picture.
There we go. What? Okay. Damn it. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Growing up in Mexico as a kid, I was a big admirer of foreign film like E.T. or William Wyler or Douglas Sirk or Frank Capra. And a few weeks ago, Steven Spielberg said, if you find yourself there, if you find yourself in the podium, remember that you are part of a legacy, that you're part of a world of filmmakers, and be proud of it. I'm very, very proud. I want to dedicate this to every young filmmaker, the youth that is showing us how things are done. Really, they are, in every country in the world. And I was a kid enamored with movies. Growing up in Mexico, I thought this could never happen. It happens. And I want to tell you, everyone that is dreaming of a parable, of using genre fantasy to tell the stories about the things that are real in the world today, you can do it. This is a door. Kick it open and come in. Thank you very much. This movie...
Oh.
All right, well, that's how it's supposed to go, I guess, right? Sorry, guys, we're out of Oscars.
That was so sweet.
There was also a hilarious moment where he's just like, thank you to all of you. Oh, that's right. Without seeing the movie, you wouldn't know this, but there's this part where they kind of, let's just say that the maid and the water creature become pretty close. Wink, wink, wink.
All right.
And
That
so-
explains another tweet I saw. That was
Yeah.
like, ever since I've heard this movie referred to as grinding emo, I can't think of it any other way.
There's this part where he said, also, thank you to all of you perverts out there for watching my disgusting fish sex movie. It was like the best thing I've ever heard. And there's a part where he actually there's a picture of him. He actually checks the envelope to make sure it says Shape of Water, and then he holds it up to the audience, just like, yeah.
La La
It's like-
Land.
God, I love Guillermo del Toro. He's such a marvelous person. You know,
And the
for a
winner,
while,
Best Actress is. La La Land.
You know, for a while they they talked about him doing a Haunted Mansion movie for Disney. Actually, I remember that they
Yeah, I
announced it a
remember
while
hearing
ago.
about
I assume that project's probably dead. I don't know. I remember they talked about it at D23 conference a while back.
What do you mean? The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy enough for you?
No,
It was not a good movie.
that's another movie that's like it's hilarious,
On the
but
level,
it's bad.
yeah. It wasn't even that funny, really. It wasn't.
There
it
were
wasn't
like
great.
some good moments, not from Eddie Murphy, but
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
supporting cast.
And it's not a diss to Eddie Murphy. It just wasn't a
No,
great movie.
it just wasn't a great movie. But no, I remember they had unveiled a logo because the main antagonist in the movie is supposed to be the Hatbox Ghost, who's like this
Ooh.
legendary ghost at the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
For anyone who's a Disney fan, you probably know who the Hatbox Ghost is. But it's like this character where they had like an animatronic where it was supposed to be the head was supposed to like disappear and appear in the hat box, like that the guy was holding, and then reappear on his shoulders. But it was in the attic, and the way that it was lit with the bride and everything up there, like the illusion never quite worked. So
Yeah.
they still have the animatronic, but they never like actually included him in the ride.
Yeah, they couldn't like make him work.
Right. And actually, probably today, with the technology they have today, they can figure out a way to make the Hatbox Ghost work. But he was supposed to be
But
like...
I feel like at this point, it's part of the like mythos of
It's
the Haunted
true.
Mansion ride and Disney World that they just kind of can't.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, he's still a huge part of the promotional material for the Haunted
Yeah.
Mansion. Because
Because
he's
he's
achieved, like,
become
legendary status.
Yeah,
You can buy, like, little statues of the Hatbox Ghost and all this other stuff.
yeah.
But, yeah, no,
He's
he
a
was
meme.
supposed to make a movie, but... Also, he will be part of Death Stranding from Kojima. Del Toro
Yeah.
is a... Here's the thing. You have Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus, Guillermo del Toro, and Kojima. They're best
Kojima.
friends now.
Yeah,
They're
like
all his best friends.
the three possibly most surreal people on... Maybe not Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus isn't like a super surreal person. But between
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro and Kojima, that's gotta be like the most surrealist, weirdest
Norman Reedus
story.
is just like the icing on.
Yes, he is the icing on top of the cake. I mean, to be honest, I watched that. What was the last thing that they revealed for that? It was like that, like 5-10 minute long,
It was at the
Like,
VGAs, the
yeah.
Video Game Awards.
and
Yeah.
you just sat there and watch it, and you were like, I kind of understand, but also I have like 50 more questions.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I think I get what's going on here. Well, what's going on here?
Right. I'm like, okay, so the monsters are invisible, and somehow they like respond to sound so they can't see you, but also they suck like the life out of you, but also babies. I still
Yeah,
have so
like, I
many
don't
questions.
understand. And why like when the one guy was like picked up and starting to be dragged, did he start stabbing himself? Like,
I think
what was that about?
I think he was just trying to kill himself before the monsters killed him.
Well, I don't remember the theory I heard about it, but it was a very interesting theory as to why he was doing it. Like maybe I don't know.
You know, one of the things I really love though.
Well, I think
was,
it was like I think what I heard was the like death in the game is actually part of the story. So like anytime you die, it's like part of what's happening. It's not like, oh, you died,
be.
reset. It's, oh, you died, here's what happens, reset.
That does sound like a very Kojima thing to do.
It's very,
too.
very Kojima, which might be why that guy was trying to kill himself. If
Yeah.
they get me, it's over.
That
but
could
if
be.
I go first, maybe I come back. I don't know. I'm just
I
so
don't
good. Here's the thing. It's probably not even a game I'll play. But
Yeah.
it's a game I'll absolutely watch and just be like, what's happening here?
One of the things I loved the most though, in setting the scene, the way that they did, was because it was raining out, you could see them, even though they were invisible. You could
Yeah,
see
you can
them.
like see the like.
And they weren't even like the main focus. They were just like in the background, but that made it like
Yeah.
scarier because you're just like they're there. and they want you to know that
won't
they're
notice
there.
the first time.
But
You won't notice the first time you watch it. But
Yeah.
if you watch it a few times and look for it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, there's the elf.
yeah. But also, like, how does Del Toro figure in? What exactly is Matt Mikkelsen's role to play? Because he's clearly like, he's like,
his character?
because that's
Yeah.
right, Matt Mikkelsen is in it too. There's another surreal dude. Like, there's another dude who's just like, I
This is an
play every
all-star
weird
cast.
villain.
This is just like the all-star cast of, what if we just like got every...
Yeah.
This-
What if we just like went full out, like blew all of our budget on the first game just to like come out of the gate swinging?
I mean, hey, I hope it works. I want it to
Yeah.
be so great. And I'm sure it will be, because I don't think Kojima's ever made anything.
Yeah. But
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure everything he's made was pretty fantastic.
I'm just really interested to know like how Mads Mikkelsen's character like comes into play.
So
Like,
hype
Is he
to
associated with
watch
the
a
others?
Let's
or-
Play
Yeah.
of that game.
I'll watch Jesse play it. Jesse will get like super into.
He'll absolutely play it.
all
Yeah,
of
but
the
it'll
lore
take
that-
him like 4 years to get through the tutorial.
That could be, but
It's gonna be so open.
it
He's
is
gonna
what
have
it
to
is.
go. I don't know. I might have to stream. I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how I'm gonna watch it. But I'm gonna definitely watch that.
Yeah, it's wow.
Good for Guillermo del Toro though, winning that. Is this the
Yeah, I'm really happy for
Is this
him.
the first time like a sci-fi film has won Best Picture? That can't be right.
I don't know if it's the first time like a sci-fi film, and I don't know that it's the first time because he describes what he does more as like fantasy, but I mean that's sort of
Yeah.
sci-fi is science fantasy basically. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's the first one to win, but this is his first win.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting.
Which is winning Best Picture with your first win is like
Yeah. Well, especially whenever you consider his body of work, like Pan's Labyrinth, that was an amazing movie. But yeah, between this and Shape of Water, and he's made a lot of really interesting stuff. Let's just say that he's made like a lot of really interesting, thought-provoking movies that I'm just glad that he got some recognition.
okay. It's not. It wouldn't be It's not the first fantasy to win the award because Return of the King won Best Picture in 2003, which I didn't know. I didn't realize it won Best Picture.
I didn't even really like Return of the King. That was probably like... No, maybe it was my second favorite. I like Fellowship of the Ring. Then maybe Return of the King, then Two Towers.
Yeah, I think this might have been like the first sci-fi film to win
Well, that's cool.
Best Picture. I mean, I'm back into the 60s and I haven't seen one, unless there's one of these movies that's considered sci-fi that I didn't know.
Anyway, derailing in a completely different topic, Fortnite.
There's not a good segue here. There wasn't a good segue.
Yeah, we were starting to drift, so time to just like wrench everything back on track. Fortnite is getting a 20 versus 20 versus 20 versus 20 versus 20 mode. Yay.
100 players, 5 teams.
Who will win? Da, 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 da. I imagine this. I imagine it's going to be one of those things. Okay, I have questions. First of all, have you ever played the Battle Royale Fortnite?
I have not.
Okay, I have.
I've
just
seen
because I
some
wanted
of
to
it,
see
but
what
I
it was
haven't
about. Which is fun. And I assume that this is an extension of the Battle Royale game and not actual
Yes,
Fortnite.
it is an extension. It is an extension of the Battle Royale, not actual Fortnite.
Okay. I think I'm interested to see how this goes only because I'm trying to figure out like how exactly would you go about this? Like, is it one of those things where do you drop like okay. Is the team dropping how to phrase this? I picture like either every team has a starting zone and you move
Yeah, it's like
inward
a corner.
or
Yeah.
you're still dropping out of the party bus and you just have to like strategically scatter your team across the island. Either way, I think it'd be interesting. But yeah, no, Fortnite Battle Royale is delightful. It's like if you mix PUBG.
It's so fun. It's so fun to watch clips of it even. Like just highlight clips for that game are just so fun. I saw one earlier.
Yeah.
because I was just trolling the gaming subreddit,
Mm.
and I saw one that was like, "Oh, victory adds insult to injury," and it's literally like someone had like the stairway to heaven, which is
Uh-huh.
where you just like build a platform across the stage and win by being above everyone else.
Yeah.
This person like shot out the stairway and they're falling, so they're gonna die from the fall damage. But not only did they do that, they then sniped them out of the air. It's just like, that's impressive.
That's delightful. And that's
Yeah,
one of those
that
things
game-
that it's so ridiculous that it can only happen in Fortnite.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I think I remember whenever Fortnite first did the Battle Royale, like Bluehole, which is the publisher of PUBG, was like super duper, I don't know even what words to use. Like edgy about it, I guess would be the word
Oh
to use.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just because they were like, "Hey, you're invading our territory," blah blah blah, whatever.
yeah.
To be fair, in retrospect, they kind of do have a point because I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
absolutely.
that Fortnite Battle Royale is now more popular than PUBG on Twitch. But I think it's because, Twitch is a place where you're kind of rewarded for creating these incredibly ridiculous moments. And Fortnite,
Number one game on Twitch, Fortnite Battle Royale.
and the thing is, like, PUBG, yeah, there were some ridiculous moments. And yeah, like those like massive, like survive to the end, King of the Hill kind of shooters have always been sort of popular on Twitch anyway. But the thing about Fortnite is it just lets you be absolutely ridiculous with how you do it. Because, like I was going to say, it's like a mix of PUBG with, like, Minecraft and Sunset Overdrive. It's just, like, these ridiculously toony, everything's destructible, you can just build whatever you feel like as long as you have materials for it. And then you just get, like, ridiculous... You have traps that you set up. You just like have these ridiculous guns. They're just like super cartoony and they'll shoot like ridiculous things. There's a toilet factory. There's like Tilted Towers, which is this like apartment building where everything's like slanted off to the side. Like everything about it is just like toony and hilarious, and it just lets you do these ridiculous things. I remember one time I saw one. It was this dude who like quickly built himself stairs in a box, and this dude was like following him and he was trying to like take him out, and he was like building himself this stairway, and then he like kept putting up these walls to like stop the dude, and then he built himself like a stairway down, so whenever the dude like busted the last wall, he just busted the platform and dropped the dude to the ground and won the game. And like those are the moments, right? Like
Yeah, those are the moments you live for.
like just watching the sheer skill of people who are not only good at like battle royale games, but who can just build stuff so quickly. So it's not just like they're waiting for the perfect moment to snipe someone. It's also, hey, I'm also just going to build a whole bunch of stuff and that's how I'm going to win. I'm just going to like make ramps and houses and all this other stuff to get in your way, and then at the perfect moment I'm just going to like get
It
you.
all out. So I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole while you
Did
were
you?
talking there. Like, I was still listening, but I was trying to find the most ridiculous and obscure game currently being watched by people on Twitch.
Okay.
And I found a few interesting things. One, there are 2,000 people watching chess right now,
Great.
which I just think is an impressively large number for chess. But there are 243 viewers
Uh-huh.
watching someone play Fire Emblem Heroes, which is the mobile game.
Yeah. You would actually
Why?
be surprised. You'd be surprised how many people actually stream mobile games on Twitch. There are a lot of streaming apps that will let you like play things. I know there's a MOBA that is for the phone. I can't think of what it's called right now. But I know that a lot of people stream it because it's just a really popular MOBA. And so people will stream it. Or I know a lot of people will also stream Pokemon Go. So they'll actually be out.
That seems weird. That seems weird.
It may, but it's actually popular, because
I
they'll
still don't know
have
how watchable is Pokemon Go.
I don't know. Cuz the thing is a lot of people like I've only seen a couple people try to stream it, but it seems to me that the way that most people go about it is they'll have like a GoPro or something that will be
okay.
on them, and then they'll also have the streaming app going on their phone. So they'll have a setup where it's not just you're not just looking at a phone screen. You're also like interacting with the person. Like it's interesting, and like kudos to people for like figuring out how to do that and make it interesting. That's not something that I would probably do. Like, first of all, I probably wouldn't stream on the go anyway. But even if I did, it would just be like me sitting in the park, just like enjoying the day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be also trying to like do Pokemon Go at the same time, but I do have a Twitch streaming app on my phone. I just hardly ever use it because data. And no.
And no.
There are not a lot of places where you can get free Wi-Fi citywide. This is definitely
Absolutely.
not one of those places. But yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see what people can do whenever they're streaming, especially with mobile. Any hoozle. Moving on. Geralt, The Witcher. Aw, our good friend Geralt. Recently, the developers announced that he will be crossing over into another game, but they have not told us which game yet. So, wild speculation abounds as to where Geralt will be. We shall call it Geralt Watch. Oh my god. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to call it. Geralt Watch. What game do you think The Witcher will appear in?
Okay, okay. I'm looking at like the article you shared,
Yes.
which is from Polygon.
Yes.
Some of these make sense. Monster Hunter World. Okay, yeah, they had Aloy,
Yeah.
and like that makes sense.
That's
Maybe
right.
that makes
Aloy wasn't that.
It really works for Geralt being a Monster Hunter. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 15. Yeah, they did that weird crossover with Assassin's Creed, so I could definitely see them doing a crossover with Geralt and The Witcher.
Sure.
I could definitely see that. Soul Calibur 6 makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would actually love for that one to be true. Like, if they could have
Like,
Geralt in Soul Calibur as, like, a fighting game character, that would be awesome.
Every Soul Calibur since 3 on the GameCube has had a guest. Pretty much starting with Link.
Yeah,
Link.
Link.
Was in the GameCube version.
Link was the original guest.
Then they had Darth Vader and Yoda in... And then in 5, they had Ezio from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So yeah, Geralt, like, could definitely...
I feel like he fits into a lot of games, but I assume that this is building to some, like, ridiculous suggestion.
No, and then, yeah, then there's people that are like, maybe they're releasing a new Smash Bros. This year and Geralt's gonna be in it. It's like,
Okay.
maybe not.
But, even though, okay, I'll say this. I'll say that it would be weird because Nintendo has nothing to do with The Witcher. Like, they haven't put it on the Switch.
Like,
they haven't, like, done anything with it. So that would be weird.
It was weird that Cloud was in it. But even then, it's like, okay, Final Fantasy originated on Nintendo. That makes sense.
Right.
And, like, yeah.
Now, I will
get
say,
that.
in the last Smash Bros., you did have Cloud, and you had Bayonetta. So I wouldn't...
Bayonetta, but Bayonetta 2 was a Nintendo Wii U exclusive.
That's true, which is why it makes sense. But I'm just saying, character-wise, it wouldn't be so weird to have Geralt there, because they've had some pretty weird characters in there.
But the only reason Cloud was there, Cloud and Bayonetta were only there because they did their, like, you could submit your own idea for a fighter and we'll try to put them in the game if they're, like, the most popular one. And everyone's like, okay, Cloud's... Everyone and their brother put in Cloud. I voted for Shovel Knight. But,
there was also the Wii Fit trainer.
Yeah, but that's a Nintendo mascot, and like
but
Wii Fit was
why? That doesn't. She's a yoga instructor. What does she know about smashing?
All of her moves are like yoga, and it's great.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I'm just saying
Anyway.
there are more ridiculous uses of yoga in fighting games. See, what's his name from Street Fighter? Why can't I remember his name?
Oh, Dhalsim.
Dalsim. He spits yoga fire. That's not a thing.
He doesn't spit yoga fire. He is a spiritual leader in his community who is able to manipulate fire.
And he says yoga fire when he does it.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
Does he really?
He does. I'm
That's
not joking.
hilarious.
He's like, yoga fire. It's like, no! He calls it yoga fire.
I didn't realize that he called it yoga fire.
Yes! So there are worse representations of yoga and fighting.
Okay, fair enough.
At least Wii Fit Trainer does actual yoga poses.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But no, I would really love to see Girl in Soul Calibur because I just enjoy the Soul Calibur games. So that would be really cool. Good stuff. Hey, here's one for all you Blizzard fans out there, including Joe. Starcraft recently turned 20.
And if you sign into Overwatch real soon, you get a free skin for Widowmaker.
Oh, Starcraft skin. Cool.
Yeah, you get the Ghost Kerrigan skin. It's the only way to get it. So, sign into Overwatch.
Now, I personally have not played really any StarCraft. Have you ever played StarCraft, Joe?
Played a little. I played about half of the Terran campaign of StarCraft 2. I've watched all of the campaigns of StarCraft 2. So I know the story of StarCraft 2, but I haven't actually gotten around to playing it. I'm really bad at it.
My experience of StarCraft is the Carbot animations of StarCraft. They're just like caricatures of all the different civilizations and stuff. It's one of those things where, like, me personally, I am not really a real-time strategy person. I've played a few real-time strategy games, but I'm just not very good at them. Like, the management aspect of it and making sure, like, you can keep your civilization, like, afloat while also defending it from others, like... That's not something I'm good at, but I do think it's impressive if you ever watch, like, StarCraft tournaments or something like that, to, like, watch people, like, really get into the StarCraft aspect.
I mean,
just like,
there's a reason that it popularized esports.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd argue that League of Legends popularized esports. StarCraft was the first major.
Yeah,
that, like,
absolutely.
Everyone got really into, and, like, it's so impressive seeing that high level play. Like, it's kind of hard if you don't understand it, because it's like, okay, what's going on here? What's happening? It's a little hard to follow.
Right.
But if you at least have a basic understanding of how real-time strategies work and the sort of thing, it's pretty cool. I've watched a few professional games of StarCraft, but I've never, like, gone deep. I don't have, like, a favorite team. Nothing like that.
Yeah, no, it's cool though. It's really cool.
Absolutely. And it's really cool that StarCraft turns 20.
Yeah.
Which means it came out in 1998.
Like, go Blizzard, right? They've had so many incredibly popular games. I mean, we talk about Blizzard all the time here because you're a super fan.
Oh my god. Warcraft turns 24 this year.
Yeah, you have Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo. Now they have Overwatch, they have Hearthstone. I mean, they have, and those are just like the big titles.
For a company that's made like 4 major titles, like 4 major IPs,
that are still,
it's impressive.
They're still incredibly popular today. Like, they've never really lost their popularity.
Before Overwatch came out, soon to be 2 years ago, Blizzard, the last IP Blizzard made was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
With Diablo.
Yeah.
It's so impressive that a company like made a lot of different games in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, through the 90s. Actually, I don't know if they exist in the 80s. I'm not that up on my Blizzard lore.
Yes, they existed. They were founded in the late 80s in Columbus, Ohio. Score 1 for Ohio.
Okay. But yeah, they, like, their first major game obviously was Warcraft, which
right.
Well, I mean, they had success with, like, the Lost Vikings and other games, Rock and Roll Racing, but they never, like, made those a franchise. They made the Lost Vikings, but they didn't, like, continue on with Lost Vikings. Lost Vikings are a little more and a character in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
But just starting with Warcraft in '94, it's just impressive how far they've come. And how they're one of the greats in the gaming industry now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess everyone kind of started that way. But the fact that they still care about the players, unlike so many of the other companies, not naming names, but like they still seem to genuinely care about their player base and just like bringing positivity to the world.
Yeah.
through video games.
Yeah, Blizzard's really cool.
Yeah, they're good. They're good people.
They're good peeps. Hey, speaking of people, pit people.
Yo, it released last week.
Yeah,
Finally,
it
out of
did.
early access. We need to play it more. We've
We
talked
do.
about it.
We
working on it.
stopped off after the Garbledygook arena.
After Chog.
Chog, that's what it was. Chog and the parasite, who's the brother-in-law of the Cyclops.
Yeah.
That was never, ever explained.
No, but he is now one with the Cyclops.
He is. For the second time.
At least for me.
At least the second time this has happened.
True. We need to go back and play that game. And
We do.
will. We will.
There's a lot more story to find and all that good stuff.
And
but-
all the super amazing side stories.
Yes. All the Chog.
That's about it for news. though.
Pretty much.
At least news that we are talking about.
Anyway, so let's get into some discussion, shall we?
Yeah, I love all of these.
Well, let's start at the top then and work our way down. At
Okay.
Destiny versus Chance. So this was something that I saw on the True Gaming Reddit earlier today. It was a discussion about characters in video games and how it seems, not that it wasn't kind of always this way, but more and more often, it's just like, you are the savior of the world you're in. Like, as opposed to just being like a person who got caught up in events, it's just like, ah, yes, you're the chosen one, destined and prophesied to help everyone, ever. And you never really, like, you're never just a person who gets caught up in stuff. So the example that was, like, the counter example that was used was in Fallout New Vegas. You're just like a messenger who happens to get caught up in a
you're
whole
the
bunch
courier.
of BS. Then you're just like, oh, okay. And then you just have to, like, go on this adventure. So my question is, what do you prefer in a game? Do you prefer it to be like, ah, yes, chosen one, we were expecting your arrival? Or do you prefer, like, I'm just here. Hey.
I am trying to find this article or this discussion right now because I just kind of wanted to see what other people were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I don't know. It depends. Like, it comes down to the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, like, if we go into, like, Breath of the Wild,
right.
like, it wouldn't be the same if Link was
Okay.
just like, oh, you're just
Yeah.
some dude.
I mean,
Who's just like...
Legend of
like,
Zelda
"Oh,
is
no,
very
I'll go-
specific in its
I'll
setup.
go defeat Calamity Ganon, sure. Yeah, I'm just some guy.
It is. I mean, Legend of Zelda is a tough example because
Yeah,
that's literally
that's
the
what I'm
setup
saying,
for
though.
every game.
Like, yeah, like, well, that's kind of it, though. Like, if Destiny is what they have here, of like, oh, you are the chosen one,
Right.
then, yeah, that's gonna be the setup. That's gotta be a major part of the story. I can't think of an example where it's like, oh, you're defeating the big bad. Also, you're the chosen one. So, I mean, this was all supposed to happen.
But I guess the question is, like, do most video games today kind of, like, rely too much on the chosen one story? Like,
I do think it's overused,
yeah.
but I don't know.
Because here's
I
the
don't know.
thing.
It gives a sense of like grand adventure when it's like, oh, you're the chosen one. I think it depends on how early they hit you with it.
It's true, but I think it's one of those things, like, you no longer feel like you're playing the everyman if you suddenly find out that they were destined to be chosen. Like, most character, like, okay, let's use Dungeons and Dragons as an example. Very
Yeah.
rarely is it suddenly revealed in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that you were the chosen one destined to defeat evil. Like,
Yeah.
I would say
'Cause-
most of the time, you're just an adventurer who's just trying to meet a goal, and then you run into crazy situations, and you gain renown because you just, like, constantly find yourself
Yeah.
in situations of, like, oh, well, time to solve the problem.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And like, that's one of those things in D&D, especially since death is like the end.
Right.
without resurrection magic anyway. Like, you can't be like, you're the chosen one, destined to defeat. Oh, nope, he's dead. He
Yeah,
died.
exactly.
Huh.
So you
Guys,
can't
we need a
have
new
that.
chosen. We need a new chosen one.
So I think it's.
Okay. Yep.
I think when it comes to video games, like, yes, there is like an epic sort of grandness to saying, ah, yes, you're the Dragonborn, or you're the sun woken, or like whatever. But yes.
I hate how often I bring it back to World of Warcraft. But Legion did it perfect. Because leading up to World of Warcraft Legion, they had this whole Illidan's the chosen one. He's gonna lead the fight and defeat the Legion. And there's the moment where it's like the prophecy must be fulfilled. And it's like, oh, they're forcefully making him the chosen one, even though he doesn't want. No, he literally fights it, and there's a line like, the light is your destiny. And he just yells, my destiny is my own.
Yeah, and he just like tears himself out of it. That was a really great moment. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's just
so good. So good.
I just feel like as a player, you probably relate more to a character that's just like a normal person who gets caught up in fantastic events than you do like, ah, yes, this person was always meant to do this. It's like Sunset Overdrive, right? Like, you're literally like a janitor.
You're just some guy. You're a janitor.
You're just like a janitor that didn't drink the nasty energy drink that turned everyone else into like these horrible mutant creatures. So like, your life is
later
just
in the
like...
game, later in the game, they make fun of the fact about the whole chosen of LARPers who like they games got broke by the awesome apocalypse. And they're just like constantly in character now. They won't break character because they can't accept the reality of everything. So they're like, the chosen one has come to us. And it's so good. It's so good.
But I mean, that's the joke. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah. Sunset Overdrive is pretty great too.
I mean, everything about Sunset Overdrive is hilarious.
That game is gold.
Yeah, it's
orange, but it's gold orange.
It's gold and orange.
It's a weird feeling when you're playing Sunset Overdrive, then like time.
You cut out. I didn't hear any of that.
I said it's a pretty scary feeling when you're playing Sunset Overdrive, and then you look soda.
You cut out for the exact same sentence. Sometimes the internet just doesn't want you to say the things that you want to say, Joe.
It's true. It's true. It's pretty scary when you're playing Sunset Overdrive and then you soda.
I heard soda. Like, the universe is so against you speaking your mind right now.
When I played the game, I was drinking orange soda. Unintentionally. There! Did it go through?
Yes.
Finally!
You nailed it. Brevity is the soul of wit, and apparently what the internet wants. Good stuff. Anyway. Continuing to speak on story elements in video games, we also have a topic about narrative. So this was, again, something that I saw on True Gaming Reddit, but it was a question about predictable narrative or atmospheric story, and it was a question about story. Would you rather have a crappy story or no story? And so basically the idea was whenever you have things like campaign modes in Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, the story tends to be very recycled, very chosen one, or like, yay, let's go kill Hitler.
Assassin's Creed is like a single player game, so
right.
It needs a story mode.
Well, yeah, sure. That one obviously. It's an open adventure game. It needs a story.
It's still
mode,
recycled in the same thing every time, but
right.
Yeah.
But as opposed to something like we were talking about earlier, you have Limbo or Inside or
Little Nightmares.
Which admittedly, all three of those are very much in the same vein of game. In fact, two of them were made by the same developer, but they are much more atmospheric. And actually, something to add to this, Fee, which is a game that I played recently, whose story elements are told almost entirely through tablets that you find hidden around the world, and just sort of picking up on what's going on with basically all of these characters in the game. So there's like ways that you can see what the silent ones are doing at the time and try to figure out what they're doing. Now, granted, I will say at the end of that game, I still had many questions about like what happened. And I feel like at the end they put like, as the end credits roll, right? So Fee is a game that has like an after game to it, but it's kind of like the end credits roll as you're getting back into the main area or whatever.
Okay.
As you make your way back, first of all, they lay like 50 collectibles in front of you, and then like 20 tablets, and you uncover them, and they kind of explain what happened, but they don't really explain what happened. And no
That's
character
amazing.
talks, they only sing. And so, like, I just have so many questions about that game still. Like,
Yeah.
as an example, part of the game is that the silent ones are trying to create a giant deer creature, which they succeed in. They make a giant deer. I still have no idea why they needed one. Like, they made one, but it seems completely superfluous to whatever their goal was. I don't know why it was necessary, and it's just there. It's just like chilling there now, and I'm just like, but why? Why did you need it? So it's just one of those things. Like, sometimes I think whenever they go for atmospheric storytelling, they don't quite strike the right balance between having story and not having story, and so it's like they have enough story that you're interested, but they don't have enough story to actually explain to you what's going on in the story. So you're just left with like a whole bunch of, well, I don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say like, oh, you should have a narrative because that's why I play games, for the narrative. But I played Inside and I absolutely loved that game. As weird and crazy as it was, I loved it. It was just like, I got to the end and I finished. I'm like, what? Okay, number one, what did I just play? And number two, what?
Well,
it's such a good feeling to get to the end and still have those questions, but at the same time, it's like I just want answers. A part of me is just like, I just want answers.
There's another game that I know, that I think does a really good job with atmospheric storytelling without actually having like what I would call a real narrative to it. There's a game called Black the Fall that's basically about this guy who lives in like this fascist, almost like Soviet state, and he makes it his goal to escape, and it's sort of like cyberpunky in the way that it's presented, but basically like there's this stuff that's going on in the background as well as the stuff that's going on in the foreground. It kind of is in the same vein, like I said, as Inside and Little Nightmares in those games. Basically, it's like puzzle solving and trying to like understand the world so you can figure out how to escape the world. But it's very much in that vein of there's not necessarily a story going on other than you want to get out of this place, but there's a lot of really interesting atmospheric elements that kind of tell you about like the world that this person lives in.
It looks very Inside.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, and I think that
like
maybe
a lot of this looks like it may have actually just stolen assets from Inside.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm trying to think of an example of like a 3D platformer that doesn't have a lot of story to it, It's really more atmospheric than it is story. And the only one that immediately springs to mind is Dark Souls. But even Dark Souls has story elements to it because it's still an
Yeah.
RPG. You still have a goal, an end goal.
I would say Dark Souls is more atmospheric than story, though.
That's true. And it's kind of one of those things where you can find the story if you want to find the story, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still know what your goal is. Your goal is to kindle the fire. And the way
Yeah.
you do that is by, well, in the case of Dark Souls 3, is by defeating the Lords of Cinder, bringing them back, so that you can open the path to the fire and rekindle it.
Yeah.
But it's even though there's not a lot of story, there's still like a goal there, you know. But I think that Dark Souls tells it in a really interesting way.
Through like the items and the lore of like just the fact that there's lore on every little item you get in that game.
It's true, and a lot of it connects if you really pay attention. Like it'll start connecting together.
Like, just watch it. Like I'm not even like a fan of Dark Souls. Like I don't consider myself a fan of Dark Souls. I don't dislike the game. I've never played it. I'm really bad at games, so I wouldn't enjoy something that different. I don't enjoy games that are hard for the sake of being hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the lore of it is interesting to me. And it's not my usual cup of tea. I'm not normally a fantasy kind of guy.
Yeah.
But just like going into it and just like hearing the people like explain like, well, on these pants it says this, and then if you have like this sword, you can see this bit of lore, and it all connects. Like this is like the inner like crazy person is just like, I just love seeing your like big cork board full of push pins and string just connecting stuff. Like you
Absolutely.
This is like the healthy version of conspiracy theories.
Basically, yes. Dark Souls is healthy conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like you're not a crazy person because what you're saying makes sense, and it also doesn't really matter. But
right,
it's like it's fun.
I think
it's fun to watch.
I think honestly, what this really boils down to is you just have to game developers just have to be willing to take a chance on their story beyond just like, and here's the hero arc.
Yeah.
Like Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods is something that has a story to it, and it's mostly about the story, but it's a really interesting story, and it's one that everyone relates to because literally all of the characters are people that you know.
Yeah, like you either are that person or you know that person.
Yeah.
Sad millennial simulator.
That's basically what it is. It's sad millennial simulator. Like, hey, do you recognize this small town? It's yours.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't. What would we start with? Oh, predictable narrative or atmospheric story? Both. Why not both?
Yeah. Why not have a nice little mix going on?
Yeah, because I like an atmospheric story is next to the next person. My mouth just stopped working. These last like 3 sentences have just been like, I can't speak.
You're trying
So,
though, and I appreciate that.
But no, like sometimes it's like, yeah, atmospheric story, yeah. Go through and just have all these questions about what's going on. At the end, I'll still be like, what just happened? But at the same time, I kind of understand better, I think. Maybe a second playthrough will give me those answers I need.
Yeah.
Then you play it again. It's like, nope, I know just as much as I did every time. Sometimes I just want to take a break and be like, okay, I just want to sit back, relax, and just be able to follow what's happening on screen.
Yep.
And then you have the middle child, which is Final Fantasy, where it is a narrative, but you still can't follow it because everything's just crazy.
And
it still doesn't make sense.
And the spiritual brother of Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts.
Well, not even spiritual brother, like actual cousin.
Actual cousin, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. First cousin, Kingdom Hearts.
What is Kingdom Hearts? Who knows? Anyway,
Well, okay, so if you take Final Fantasy storytelling and put it with Disney characters as a backdrop,
No, we're
that's
moving on.
basically Kingdom Hearts. No, I'm just saying that's it. It's all the craziness of Final Fantasy storytelling with a Disney backdrop.
Basically. Anyway, moving into the last discussion topic of the day, and continuing with the theme of story and games, choices.
We had a theme this week.
I know, we had a theme with the discussion, which was fun. But choices in games. So this again comes from Reddit. There's a question someone posed, which is, shouldn't games have more choice? And what this stems from is that most games, even if they give you like a choices matter situation, it doesn't really seem like the choices matter at all because it all comes to the same conclusion. Or even if it does give you like separate endings, for example, in Dishonored, one is clearly a better ending than the other. Like for example, in Dishonored, if you do all stealth instead of being lethal, you clearly get what is considered a happier or better ending than if you just go around killing everybody and doing it that way.
Yeah, they kind of like muddle their point in their title. They have the worst title possible.
Yes.
Because the title of the post is literally, games need to have choice. And then they go on and talk about all games that already have choice. What they meant to be was like, the choices in games should be equal. It shouldn't be good or bad.
Right. You should be able to have like a satisfying story no matter which way you go.
Yeah. And in a way, a game that kind of did it, like it was years ago, so I'm sure it could be done better.
Mm-hmm.
Fable 3 had an interesting approach to it, and that in the latter half of the game, I'm gonna spoil it. The game's super old. Who cares?
Go for it.
So the first part of the game is you're like raising a rebellion against your brother, who's the king.
Right.
And afterwards, you defeat him, and there's a whole moment where it's like, okay, you're king now, and you can choose to let him live or kill him. I let him live because I'm a good person. And he even reveals like, okay, I may have done bad things, terrible things, awful things, but I did it all with the best intent of saving our people. And like, at first it's like, yeah, right. But then it's like, no, there's this like evil darkness that's going to like take over everything if we don't stop it.
Yeah.
And what we need money to stop it. I don't know how money stops it. I think it's literally just like to outfit soldiers and that sort of thing, and just like be able to hold back the darkness.
Right.
So then you're king or queen, and you have to go through and make your decisions of like, okay, do we cut down this forest and ruin the landscape so we have lumber to help us stop the darkness? And you literally have to choose these different things of like, okay, I can do the good thing, which is make people's lives happy, but they'll all die in the end.
Right.
Or I can do the bad thing and they'll live, but they'll hate me.
Right.
Because they don't understand.
Right.
But even then, you could cheat the game. Not cheat, because you still have to work your butt off for it. You could make everyone happy, put your country into terrible debt, and then slowly but surely get that money back by playing loot on the weekends. Because you could do odd jobs to make money. And you could literally like, that wasn't even the best way to make money. You just had to basically have the rent at a manageable level where you weren't making people unhappy with it, but you're still making money, able to get funds. And then you still need to make pies all the time, because that's how you make money in that game.
I want to point something out.
Or glitch the game using. That's the cheater route.
I do want to point something out. That sounds like that game has a lot of choice to it.
Yeah.
Flip side of that.
Because you could also be the worst person ever. Take all the money from the treasury of the kingdom, keep it in your own pocket, be like, okay, everyone's gonna die, and I'm rich.
Flip side of that, that had to be a nightmare to program.
I can't imagine it was though, because it was literally just like, okay, because there were two endings. Well, there was like a scale of endings.
Okay,
It was
but
like
then
how much
that's
money
still-
you had to.
It's still you cut out again. But
Like really, the game came down to how much money you had determined how many you saved. There was a threshold where,
okay.
and if you had 0, nobody was saved.
But still, it was okay. So it still narrows down to 2 endings, regardless of the choice you make.
Well, if you're somewhere in the middle, a lot of people might be dead, but there's still some people. But yeah, it narrows down to really 2 endings.
Right. So the thing is, okay, let's take a look at Destiny Original Sin, where you can make just about any
Divinity
choice you
Original
want to
Sin.
make. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Divinity. You can kill quest givers and then get quests the other way. But I mean, the thing is, like,
But at the end of the day, like the ultimate goal, the end of the story, still kind of has that same point.
exactly. So the thing is, to make a game in a way that you could basically make the choices you want and then have multiple satisfying endings. I mean, at that point, play D&D. Like, because I wouldn't
play a
want to
video
put
game.
that. I wouldn't.
Video games might not be for you.
I wouldn't want to put that on a developer to say, hey, I want a lot of complex branching storylines that actually give me real choice. Like, I think it's kind of hilarious and stupid whenever developers market something like, hey, your choices matter, when it's really like maybe 2 key choices and really it narrows it down to basically the same ending either way.
Yeah,
But
well, it's like every time a Telltale game comes out, it's your decisions affect the story. It's like, yeah, okay, it might affect this. Like, here's the start, here's the end.
Right.
Maybe your choices affect this bit, but point A and point B are still the same.
Which actually gets into a different conversation about whether it's the journey or the destination that matters.
I think it's the journey.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Like,
in that
especially-
case, you could argue that the choices matter because you're
Yeah.
taking a different journey to get there.
They absolutely do. But at the same time, like when the same events still, it's weird because like when you're playing a Telltale game the first time, if you have no other knowledge of it, it's all pattern. As soon as you look out, okay, so I chose one of 3 options here, and it pretty much fixes itself and gets back on course in the next couple minutes.
Right.
There
Yeah.
is no choice that's worse than. Well, even that I think was a pretty good choice all in all. I'm trying to think of a moment where it just doesn't matter. I know the moment. There's a point in Walking Dead Season 1. I won't spoil this because it's such a good story that if you haven't experienced it, go experience it for yourself. What are you doing? It's an old game. It's really good storytelling. Even if you're not a huge fan of The Walking Dead, it's just good story.
That was their original, actually, wasn't it? That was the first one that
Well,
Telltale
that was the
did.
first good one. That was the first good one.
All right.
There
fair
was a
enough.
Back to the Future game before that.
Oh my god. No.
Yeah, the Back to the Future one was bad. But no, there's a point where you make a choice at the end.
Do you
of
go
one
back to the future? That's your choice.
There's a point where you make a choice towards the end of one episode, and probably a third of the way through the next episode, the choice is just like, okay, we're back on. Like, it doesn't really. It adds a
Right.
few different conversation things that come up.
Yeah. But yeah, no, in general, it's just one of those things like it's hard, right? Actually, here's an example. Breath of the Wild. There's a game that if you don't like go looking out for the captured memories, like there isn't really story in that game. Like there is story, but I mean it
Yeah.
leaves it open for you to go about it any way you want. Hell, you before you even went to Kakariko Village, let's use Joe as an example because Joe did something ridiculous. He went to the first dungeon before he even talked to like the main person in Kakariko Village. Like half of his Sheikah slate didn't even work. and you just blazed on through. Whatever.
Oh, you'll be happy to know that since I have gotten the pants for the Zora armor.
Good. I'm glad that you got there, friend. But anyway, yeah, that's right, because you didn't even have the camera, did you? You didn't even have the camera.
I didn't have
at
the
time.
camera. I couldn't do that quest when I was there the first time. All
Anyway.
because All because I decide, oh, I'm not going to follow the road. I'll just make a beeline there. It'll be the most direct route. Then on my way, I get sidetracked, and it's like, hey, you should come to the Zora's domain. It's like, I guess I'm going to the Zora's domain.
Anyway, but the thing is
how can you say no to?
It's true. You can't say no to Prince Sidon.
You can't say no.
You can't say no to him.
no.
But the thing is, it's like the game is very open-ended. It lets you make the choices that you want to make. Obviously, in the end, you still have to defeat Ganon and do whatever. But you can make a beeline to Ganon if you want. You can make like a beeline to him, or you can go around and do everything and then go later. I recommend that because it's easier to beat him. But
I want to see the person who just beat him with a stick.
I'm sure there is. There is a speedrunner out there somewhere who
there's
beeline
someone
for
who just like cha 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 with a stick.
There has to be, like, because the thing is, if you manage to perfect parry, it doesn't do any damage to the shield. So if you like got the perfect parry down, you can defeat
there with
Ganon.
like a pot lid and a tree branch.
You could do it.
Pa, 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 pa.
But anyway, the point is that some people have said that Breath of the Wild, in some ways, suffers from the fact that it is so open. I mean, it's like with what I told you the other day with the dungeons. You have these dungeons that don't feel...
They don't feel like dungeons in a Zelda game.
Right, exactly. Because they're so open-ended, because they don't know, like, what equipment are you going to have coming into this dungeon? Like, what, like...
They know you'll have 5 things.
Right.
Bomb, magnet, stasis, and ice.
Right.
They know you'll have that. Outside of that...
And those are the things you get right off the bat.
Exactly.
But everything outside of that, it's just like, well, we have to make it open-ended enough that if they make a beeline for one of the dungeons, they have to be able to accomplish the dungeon. So it gets to a point where, while in older Zelda games, it's, hey, you have this first half, and then you get your special item, and then that special item is going to help you through the rest of the dungeon. It all feels very complete, and it feels very built around like puzzle solving, especially with the key items and stuff. You don't get that. I do think that there are really cool elements in the Breath of the Wild dungeons, especially the fact that you can control like parts of the mechanism.
Yeah, like having to do the whole thing with the trunk on Vasruta. Like, I mean, that's still the only dungeon I've done, but that alone, this is amazing. Like,
and,
this is just a whole new level to dungeons.
I will be a little real with you. Varuta is probably the most heavily puzzle-solving dungeon of the 4. But there are some interesting aspects going on in the other ones too that involve puzzle solving. But it's just because they had to make it so open-ended, because they were leaving it so up to player choice, you kind of lost like what exactly were you going for there? You know?
Can I tell you something embarrassing about when I was doing Vasruta?
Did you try to jump off the elephant? Because I tried that.
No, I didn't try that. But
you die, by the way. That's the answer. If you try to jump into the lake off the elephant, it just kills you.
Good. I'm glad I know now. But no, what I did was you know that grate right at the entrance to the dungeon that's in the water, and it's very obvious block to open it and get in there?
Yeah.
And that's like where you get control of Vasruta, which allows you to do everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I just never even thought to use the ice block to open that. I'm like, how do I open this grate?
I didn't either. Oh, thank God. Someone else that had that trouble. You know what I did? Wait.
I'm up at the wheel thing. Like, I have to turn the wheel to open the grate. That has to be it.
Let me tell you what I did. I used stasis, and I just knocked the gate open with an iron sledgehammer and dodge rolled underneath.
Really? You did like action movie style?
Yeah,
That's
amazing. Action movied my way in and out of that room. That's what I did.
Sorry, are you telling me until I said it right now you didn't realize?
No, I found out later. That you could use the ice block. It wasn't while I was still in the dungeon. For the record.
Yeah.
Actually,
no, I was just like, I just couldn't figure out how to open it.
Actually,
I tried stacing it. I wasn't good enough.
That's a lie. I figured out like right at the end because there were some treasure chests down in the water that you had to use ice blocks to get out. And I don't know, for some reason, like, cryonesis is just a rune that I never think of using in any situation. And so
Did you use it? Did you use it in the boss fight?
No.
Because he like throws the ice blocks at you, and you can use that to smash the ice block in midair.
Oh, see, I was just shooting them with arrows.
No, you could use cryonesis to be like, no, bump.
See, that's one of those things. Like, because whenever Varuda shoots ice blocks at you, whenever you're on the back of the Prince Sidon, you just use the arrows.
I just used cryonesis.
Oh, well, I just used arrows, so that's what I did in the boss
No,
fight
I was
too.
saving those arrows.
Yeah, that's.
I don't use
that's
arrows
right.
for anything.
Oh no, I have like 80 arrows at any given time. Like every time I go to a store, I buy all of the arrows.
That's fair.
Every time. But yeah, I mean, like we're saying, you get plenty of choice in how you want to play Breath of the Wild.
Also,
Also it makes it hard to make like specific choices in creating the world.
The puzzle room I was asking you about, where I'm like, I just can't figure out how to do it. That's when I get bomb arrows. Discovered that I never went to that town.
Yeah.
The one with the ball on the pedestal. I'm like, how do I get
Yeah.
the ball off the pedestal?
Yeah.
Cryonesis. There's a waterfall behind it. You just push it off with cryonesis.
Oh, that's not the way I did that.
Yeah. You can. That's how I ended up doing it.
But here's the thing. I think my way is still easier because you can push it over to the metal ramp on the other side and then roll it right down the metal ramp into the hole.
Here's the thing. I did that. I tried to do the bomb arrow thing. It just bounced off the wall and just went right down the pit. Like I don't know what. I did something wrong and it just had too much power behind it.
Got you.
So I'm like, oh, cryonesis it. And then you have to kind of like carefully cryonesis the way down so it bounces and it might get wedged somewhere. And
Right.
it becomes a much different puzzle.
Right.
But it's cool that there are different ways to solve it.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that I like about the shrines is that the shrines feel a little more specific and puzzly and like here's the thing. I think the shrines in Breath of the Wild are like the dungeon puzzles in every other Zelda game.
If they were in like the same thing where you got the power up. And it was just like, oh, if they laced the shrines together, like, okay, this is like the cryonesis dungeon. And it's just all the shrines kind of pieced together in a way that makes sense with occasional fighting in between.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, okay, yeah, they give you the same like challenges, just they're kind of optional and you have to go out of your way for them.
Right. Yeah.
Also, you know how they like teach you very early on the Great Plateau, like, okay, so now that you've done all the shrines in the area, triangulate the thing for where the statue is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I've just been like, oh, hey, look, a statue. give me the power up. I was just like in Kakariko. I'm like, oh, hey, I got enough things. Oh, hey, there's one of the statues.
Wait, the statue, like the Hylia statue?
Yeah, the one that you get the heart containers or stamina capsules from.
Yeah, they're just in every town, dude. You don't have to triangulate them. They're just in every town.
Then why did they teach you to like triangulate it? Okay, I thought that was just a thing you had to do. Okay,
because the Great Plateau is weird.
Okay.
For the record.
I thought I was being weird and doing.
You can talk to that Hylia statue before you go to any of the shrines, because I did. Because I like beeline for the Temple of Time, and I walked right up to the statue, and the statue was just like, "You don't have spirit orbs yet, and so I can't."
Yeah, I did. Oh, I did the same thing. I did the same thing. I'm like, oh hey, look, I know this place.
Yeah.
I have enough spirit orbs. Like, how do I get spirit orbs?
See, here's the thing.
And it's like, go into the shrine and get the treasure. It's like, oh, I got a spirit orb. This is what I need for that statue.
Let me tell you what I think of Breath of the Wild. I think that Breath of the Wild, the Temple of Time, right at the beginning, is the hook. Like, to walk out onto the plateau, to see this amazingly beautiful scenery, and then to just, like, look to your right and see the ruined Temple of Time, and you're just like, what happened here?
And the fact that the Great Plateau is, like, this high area where you kind of see everything.
Right.
That was totally like, we're going to show them the world, and they're going to be in.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It worked.
And, like, Because after the Temple of Time, I was constantly looking for things. I was like, what else do I see here that I recognize as something
For no
from
for no
Legend of
good
Zelda?
reason, I decided I wanted to be on top of the building in Zorome.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, I just want to go on top of that.
Yeah.
First, I tried climbing it. That didn't work.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, okay, what if I go back up the mountain where the Lionel was and just like glide down? That
Mhm.
did work. I got there like, oh, there's a Korok up here.
That's the
And then
other
I-
thing, too. Like, the Koroks, like, you just find them.
No, and then I'm like, okay, oh, I see a treasure chest down there. I'll go get the treasure chest. Then I go get the treasure chest. There's something up in that like thing right there, and I get back up into that thing by climbing like halfway up the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get in, I'm like, another Korok halfway up the building. So I just got like 2 more Koroks, and I'm like, I can go upgrade my inventory space again.
Yay!
Yay!
Of course, you have to find the dude.
I found him. He's right outside Kakariko.
Yeah, the first time.
Yeah, he's still there.
What?
Yeah.
Man! See, after
I
the first
think
time I
so.
met him, he was just like, alright, I have
Maybe-
to go home now. And I couldn't find him again
Maybe
until I
I-
went to the Lost Woods.
Maybe I didn't actually go. Maybe I just have the Koroks and I haven't actually gotten back that way yet. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's not gonna be there, dude. You gotta make it to the Lost Woods before you see him again.
Well, I know my next stop then.
Yeah, beeline. Beeline for the
Gotta
Lost
unlock.
Woods.
Probably just random shrine number 7. That's my next stop.
Anyway. Yeah, but yeah,
We have-
it's interesting.
Choices. I'd like games with more equal choices where it's not just good ending, bad ending.
Sure, I totally understand that. I'm just saying,
But
like,
I
in a
also
situation where
understand
you
like
just
it's
like,
unreasonable to expect a developer to put in so many endings.
yeah.
However, everyone can strive to be better than Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
Which Instagram filter do you want on your ending? Do you want the blue laser, the green laser,
Yeah.
or do you want the bad ending?
You know?
Because they added another ending after that. It's like people weren't satisfied with our endings. It's like, okay, it's like we'll just add an ending where you don't do it. No, they didn't add a yellow laser. It's just like we'll just add an ending where bad guys win.
Sure, Hero Falls timeline. We need one of those.
Yeah, literally, like that's literally. I don't want to spoil the story of Mass Effect, but at the same time, it's old. It's
Look,
good though.
let's just say that they failed. Although, Undertale did a good job.
Undertale did
like,
a great job, but it's
sectioning
also
out
it's also a very small game.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
And
Like,
it's-
Undertale.
They're able to explore those endings because it's not this big
Yeah.
game.
Undertale, Rain, Hand of Fate. I mean, those are all games that give you a ridiculous amount of choice, but you're not going to get a ton as far as like graphics and open world and all this stuff because it's focusing more on giving you choice to make the ending you want
Yeah.
rather than like giving you a whole bunch of here are beautiful visuals.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So our best advice for that is play tabletop role-playing games.
Yes, do that.
They will give you the experience you want.
Yeah, they'll give you any amount of choices that you would like to have.
Depending on the DM. Maybe the DM is just like, nope, this is how it ends. You had no choice all along. But they'll make you think you had a choice the whole way, much like
At-
Telltale. And
which
unlike
point-
Telltale, you can't go back. You can't go back and be like, well, how would this have gone if I did this? Oh, it would have been totally different. Would have changed everything. And the DM thing is said like, actually, I just would have gotten you back on track, but you don't need to know that.
Yeah, and that's when the player characters come out of the game and use Fireball to burn the DM to the ground.
Yeah, but the players don't know that. They don't know that they're doing that.
I used Augury. I can tell.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
All right, well,
I was love what we had a whole conversation about how being the chosen one is really lame, but your character in the campaign is literally
Yeah, and it was pretty lame, right? He ran away from being the chosen one.
True. We just want to be the everyman. And it's like, no one in this campaign is an everyman. Maybe
That's not
Marhorn.
fair.
Marhorn's an everyman.
Yeah, Marhorn's an everyman, and Hotspur, after leaving the island, tried his best to become the everyman. And then when that didn't entirely work out, he decided to become a cleric.
Yeah. No one in this campaign's an everyman. I love it.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember what Aziel's backstory is, but that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap it up. Joe, do you have anything you'd like to share before we close out the podcast?
I haven't made content in a while, but who knows? Maybe I will. Go check me on YouTube.
Cool.
I'm Joe Albone.
Cool.
Follow me on Twitter at Joe Labone. That's JoeLabone. Sometimes I retweet things, but rarely make my own original tweets. Come check me out. I'm funny. Self-proclaimed funny person.
Good stuff.
I laugh at all my own jokes.
As for me, I will be streaming again Friday, potentially Saturday as well. We'll be hanging out, doing stuff. My sister's coming up to visit for the weekend, so I will probably be hanging with her. But we may do some stuff. Hopefully there'll be an episode of Hanging with Janky. Oh, Lord, that's getting few and far between. But we are making it to 100. I promise you that. We are making at least there.
End it there. Last episode.
And then it will just be live stream hangouts. Which actually I had a lot of fun with. I recently did a live stream hangout, which I hope to do more of in the future. But yeah, it's really fun. Drink tea, just talk about life. You guys get me off on random tangents about my life. Tiny janky stories. They're great.
I want to hear tiny janky stories.
Then you should come and hang out.
I was at work.
It doesn't matter. Anyway,
I have a job.
That's what's going on. And yeah, we'll be back again with the podcast next Wednesday. And maybe we'll even have like a guest to hang out with. Who knows? We'll see.
Probably not.
And that's pretty much all I've got. So, thank you guys again for joining us for another episode of the Pop Culture Podcast. This will be over on YouTube at youtube.com/JankyShenanigans. Hopefully soon. I need to make sure that I actually poured last week's. We'll see. And yeah, until the next time, this is Janky and Joe signing out. What a great little dance you had going there at the end. That was nice.
Yeah.